What's going on, everyone? Raj9 here. Here's my interpretation of the choking scene from End of Evangelion, okay? Basically, it's a continuation of where they left off last time, when Shinji was choking Asuka in the instrumentality thing. The first thing he does is choke her outside the instrumentality thing. What the hell is it even called? I just call it Tang World, okay? That's what I'm going to call it. So while they're in Tang World, Shinji and Asuka get into a fight, and Shinji doesn't like those little hard truth bombs Asuka has been giving him. But at the same time, Shinji also understands Asuka because they were one being, and so he knows all her inner thoughts about him, and she knows all his inner thoughts about him. And he feels vulnerable because of that, and he starts choking her because he doesn't like that, basically. Shinji just basically wants to send her back to the Tang realm because he just doesn't want to hear it. And despite Asuka still being in shock after what happens, she still decides to comfort Shinji because they were one being. They understand each other. Despite Asuka decided not to be, Asuka because she actually understands Shinji, and Shinji understands her. He decided to stop choking her, and then he felt guilty because he's basically waking up to reality. This is like reality. He's not in a fantasy world anymore. He's basically got to deal with his humanity, essentially. And he also feels guilty for what he's done to like Asuka and stuff. Asuka basically just said disgusting because she's basically disgusted with how humans act, basically. She's disgusted in like the reality of the situation of what people actually are. I mean, she was like one being, and she knows like all the traits of a human being, and a lot of them are basically terrible traits, essentially. But she's basically accepted it, and she decided to deal with it. That's why she basically pops out of the instrumentality. I also believe all the bandages on her represent her recovering as a person. I also believe that popping out of the instrumentality project is like popping out of, like, in real life, escapism and into reality. Hideaki Anno was I think he was like a hardcore otaku, and he used anime and stuff as escapism, and it could be like a representation of like facing reality, basically. As for what happens afterwards, I believe the cover of the movie actually gives you an idea of what happens afterwards. Like, you see Asuka sitting down and Shinji standing up. I believe they're just like discussing, like they're coming to like an understanding with one another in humanity and reality and such, and they're like discussing their feelings with each other, basically. And they both come to terms with reality, essentially. Anyways, that's my interpretation of the scene. This is actually my first time watching Evangelion, so I'm like a new viewer thanks to Netflix. But who knows? Maybe I'll give like the series another watch, and maybe my opinion will change on things. But anyways, I want to know what your opinions are on this on that scene. I like discussing like different theories about like everything, like Dark Souls, Evangelion, and such. Maybe I'll make like a video response or something, or maybe I'll just comment, who knows. Anyways, thank you all for watching.